Nerdy, welcome to 10 Questions, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I can't believe that I'm on this show, man. I inspired to be just like you. We didn't rehearse this at all at the beginning of the video, but I can't wait to get into these questions because I can't believe that I'm all actually been called by the Don, Jimmy the Don, to be on 10 Questions. Thank you so much.
Very good. You will get your commission check in the mail. Well done. Well done, sir. So, just a little background here. So, I'm recording this. This is a Tuesday evening. Travis and I are sitting down doing this. Well, this time last week, I was sitting here and we were scheduled to do this, and I had to miss. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to do this because I was on vacation, right? And I didn't have any in the can where I had been off for a bit. And so I messaged Travis and said, hey, dude, I'd hate to do this to you on short notice, but would you want to come on 10 Questions? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So I'm sitting here and he no-shows me. And I thought, who just stood up the Don? Like, what is going on? And so I messaged him, nothing. And then I messaged you, I don't know, maybe the next day. And then I actually started getting worried, like so much so that I had messaged Roscoe. Like I was on the hunt for where is TM Nerdy. Like I was scared to death you were okay. Tell the people what happened.
I was stupid and was outside for long periods of time without enough hydration and ended up in the hospital due to a heat stroke. So, guys, if like I can inspire anybody to drink lots of fluid, do it because you do not want to end up in the hospital. It was a scary experience because like I literally kind of like woke up there. So
Really?
it was it was a terrible experience. So like I don't wish that on anybody. It was very scary. I didn't know what happened. So luckily somebody did see me. I was actually like out for like I usually go for about an hour long walks, usually a day and stuff. I've kind of since there has been like a heat wave here in Prince Edward Island. I haven't been really going for that many walks, especially after what happened. But like I was drinking just coffee and I didn't have a bottle of water with me, and I ended up literally like sitting down, and then apparently I fell asleep while I was outside and somebody found me, tried to wake me up and like that's when an ambulance had to come, and I got lifted into the hospital and had to be like cooled down, like woke up with ice packs on me.
Really?
So
that's crazy. Yeah. What else do they do? Like where you're dehydrated? Do they just fill you full of IVs and things like that to try to get your body hydrated back?
yes, they do that too. Like they had me full of IV in that, and it was mostly just cool packs, IV and cool packs, and then just tried to bring my temperature back down. Like it was too high.
Oh, wow. That's crazy. And so that was just from you being out walking.
Yeah, in that. So you can't go out walking in that and expect like, oh, it's a hot day and stuff. Like, oh, I drank lots of fluid. Bring water with you anyway, because you never know.
Wow,
because like
that's crazy.
they just said that I got dehydrated and just the heat got to me.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, it's been really hot here in Kentucky, for 2 weeks now. It's going to rain every day, apparently, for a week. And then, of course, I was in Florida for a week and, 100-degree weather there. But I never even thought about the heat stroke, that could happen. So that's crazy. So, yeah, this is our 10 Questions PSA with TM Nerdy. Stay hydrated. Yeah, so cool, man. Well, look, all jokes aside, I'm glad you're okay because I really, like, legit, the next day I actually started to get worried. Like, I was like, all right, that's not like you. Like, I know we don't know each other. Like, I don't know that we've ever hung out. Well, we've hung out on a stream or two, but as far as, like, really know each other. But I know enough about you to know that you just wouldn't stand me up,
No.
for no reason. And so, yeah, man, I'm glad you're okay. But, yeah, thanks to Roscoe and that crew because I put them out on the hunt for Nerdy because I was like, dude, I'm not sure where he's at. Like, somebody needs to check on him, make sure he's good.
Yeah, I had a lot of messages and I didn't get to them until I was out. So, yeah, thank you for everybody that checked in on me and that. It means the world to me knowing that you guys were out there and that looking out for me.
That's awesome, dude. All right, so let's jump into these 10 questions. I guess that could have been question one, but that's not how we do it here. It's 10 questions that turns into 50. Question one is always the same. We do not deviate from that question. Team Nerdy, what or who got you into comic books?
I think I was always into comic books. per se, like with growing up with comic book related cartoons, comic book related TV shows and that. And growing up with comic books at that, just kind of like reading them inside grocery stores and that. But like to get fully into it, it wasn't until probably the COVID pandemic where I tried to figure out, it's like, okay, you know what? Like I like these enough. I like all the movies. I like all the cartoons and that. Like, let's get into the actual comic books, these characters, and figure out where I'm going to go from there. So I got into like watching YouTube comic book related content. And Bueller was like a one that really, really helped me get into comic books and like give me an idea of where I wanted to go and open the door up to like different people like Hero and the Kid, who I talked to quite a bit and talked to his dad quite a bit about like where can I start and where can I get into it. And me and Will, we have a deep love for Spawn. So Spawn was like a good one, but Shadowhawk was one that I remember looking at as a kid and loving. That's why, and even when I got into the comic community, I didn't know who the character was. I just remembered him from memory and that. And so I actually jumped into it, and it took me a while to figure out, okay, this is Shadowhawk. This is the character that I loved looking at as a kid. So I have to give the people that are in this comic community a lot of credit into helping me get into comic books.
That's cool. So that's interesting. So really for you, like a lot of people I talk to, and even me, I read books, comic books as a kid. I've talked a lot about my uncle and hanging out with him, and he would let me read whatever I wanted. But for you, it was really about the TV shows and that stuff. And then the pandemic came, looking for something to do, and kind of dove into comic books. That's cool. That's really cool. So as far as the way, I guess when you started, did you just jump in and start reading? Like you found Shadowhawk, you found Spawn. Did you start doing the new comic book day stuff? Like how did you, kind of jump into the hobby?
Well, I started by making eBay purchases actually, like, cause like I don't have a comic book shop here in Summerside.
Okay.
So like, how am I going to do new comic book day? Or I didn't even know that comics were still coming out weekly. I thought it was just like comic books, like back issues. That was it. There was no new comic book day at all. So I ended up making eBay purchases, ended up getting like, because at the time Black Lightning was out. And so I picked up a lot of The Outsiders and Batman and The Outsiders, picked up a whole run of The Outsiders by Judd Winnick, and then went out and found Batman and Robin by Grant Morrison and picked those up and picked up complete sets. And then as I like journeyed more and more into YouTube, and like I said, found Bueller, I found out, oh wait, there's weekly comics that come out every week. Like I did not know that, but with Bueller's weekly comic books, like what's coming out the next week, that's how I found out about that. And then got me into like searching. At this point, still, I was using eBay. And found like a seller on there that would sell new comic book day books, and would do that until I came across shout out Cap Can Comics. It's a comic book shop here in Canada that ships and delivers comic books on new comic book day. Every Tuesday night they put up their new comic book day books. So it did take a good, I want to say like 3 or 4 months before I found them, because it was like it was a little trying. Like I wasn't picking up what I pick up now for new comic books. It's like, okay, I like this Superman, I'm going to pick up this Superman, I'm going to pick up this Batman. That was pretty much about it until it grew to more of like picking up from Image, Aftershock, AWA, like, and it just grew from there.
Well, that's cool. So are you into, like, since, kind of going through it, because I think we all go through these transitions where, I've talked a lot about it. I think it was 2016 when I got back into it. And I was literally buying everything. I was buying, and I started out because I like DC. So, I was buying Superman, and every cover that came out was Superman. Civil War 2 was out at the time. So I was buying Civil War and every single tie-in. Like I was getting everything. And then I realized, okay, that's not what I need to do. And so it's been a constant transition. So as far as your reading goes, are there books that you prefer? like on New Comic Book Day when you can get them? You know, are you a big two? Do you like the indie titles better? Like, what's your favorite?
I don't pick up any Marvel, and I'll just start up by saying that I don't pick up any Marvel. I did pick up. I have been picking up the Marvel Alien, but that's about it when it comes to Marvel. I'm more of a DC lover. I like my Harley Quinn. I always pick up Harley Quinn, especially with the Derek Chew covers. I like the story that awesome. They're doing, and I love the Derek Chew covers. Like, that's a story buy and a cover buy at the same time with Harley Quinn. And I've been picking up a lot of the Robin, just not Robins, but Robin. Mm-hmm. I've been enjoying that story as well. I'm a little bit behind on it, but I always pick up my Spawn. And I've been probably, I would have to say Image and DC are probably my top two that I pick up.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite too as well. You know, DC, I love Image. As far as the way you read, because something that's happened to me of late, the problem with, you know, collecting singles is eventually you run out of space, right? There's just only so much space. And then you end up with a lot of books that don't really hold any value necessarily outside of, you know, personal collection, whatever. But I was buying a lot of different stories, a lot of different indie titles. And I found that I would save them up, wait till the run was done, and then I would read them all as one. And so I've kind of gotten to where now I just want to read trades, you know, or I've been picking up trade paperbacks. I've been picking up omnis. I've been picking up things like that and going back and reading stories. Do you do any of that, or have you experienced any of that, or are you still kind of doing singles?
I actually have been going back and reading it. Locally here in Canada, our library has a lot of trade paperbacks, and they're all connected. So you can be like, okay, there's a trade paperback that I want to read that's in Toronto, let's say. And you just put it on there, put it on your hold list, and they'll mail it to your library free of charge. And I've been going back, and I did this with The Wicked and the Divine. I read all of those, and that was 9 volumes. I've gone back and read Sean Murphy's White Knight. I started picking up the new one, the White Knight Beyond, or the Beyond the White Knight, and I enjoyed reading that. So I was like, you know what, I want to go back and read that. And it turns out that they had it at my library, so I was like, friggin' rights. And I've gone back and read Jeff Lemire's run on Animal Man. I'm on volume 2 now, and that's fantastic. I can't believe that is not a movie or a TV show right now. That is just a complex story in that. And I was talking to one of my friends, and they were like, I think it's because of his costume. And people don't really look at him and be like, don't take him too serious. But like, this Jeff Lemire run is just crazy.
No, that's awesome. Well, you know, my local library, I didn't know, but they will do that. Like, I will go down, and if I know there are new trades coming out, you know, something I want to read, they'll get it and then bring it in. Like, they don't have it, they'll just get it. They have a good budget, and they said, look, you know, we have people that ask for comic type content from time to time. You're the first person that's been, you know, serious enough to come in and say, hey, because I go there a lot anyway. I read a lot and I check out a lot of books. And we just got to talking. I was talking to the librarian, and I said, look, do you have any comic book stuff? And they had this little section over in the corner, and it was really nothing, a few Superman, a few Batman. And I said, well, there's some trades I'd like to read. Can you get them? And they were like, absolutely. What do you want? And so I gave them a list, and they ordered them all. And I went and checked them out and read them. So that's cool. That's cool that you don't have a comic shop locally, that you can use that resource. And I don't know if a lot of people know that or not, that a lot of times your public library, you can go there and they'll have books.
Exactly. Like, and that's how I actually, because I love the show, The Umbrella Academy. I decided to go and read the trades, and they had all 3 volumes there. So I was able to read all 3 volumes and that. So you can always go back. Like, same with iZombie. I enjoyed that TV show. It was a little different than the comic book, but that's how I read the iZombie comic book, is from my library. So
where you don't have access necessarily to the books daily, do you do a lot of digital reading? Do you read online a lot, or do you prefer the paper, like the book in your hand?
I prefer the paper. And not going to lie, I've grown fond of trade paperbacks, because you don't have to worry about getting them damaged. They're made for reading. They're not
That's
made
right.
for resale purposes. I know a lot of people still spec on them, but it's just the fact that they sell out quick because a lot of shops don't order a ton of them.
Right. No, absolutely. No, and you're right. They're made to read, and it's perfect because the singles, I still buy singles, but I know I've started going back and buying older stuff, doing some Golden Age stuff, some old Superman stuff that I want and don't have, and my new comic book day stuff. I pick up number ones generally. Like I usually pick up multiple copies of the number ones that I like the stories. If you ever watch first appearances and key issues, it's where a lot of that list comes from. Is my research into looking for the books that I want to buy, and I'll pick up the number ones. I'll pick up some first appearances if I think they have some long-term spec, like I like the character. But outside of that, my reading, I either read digitally or I pick up the trades because I'm old and I have one foot in like the old way of things and one foot in the new way of things, and I still like to hold a book in my hand and read it.
Yeah, when it comes to floppies too, I'd like to collect floppies. Like I do have like a list of like comic books that I do want to collect, and that like the Eclipso run, I collect 1 to 18, have all of those, but I do actually plan on reading those as well, all when I get it all in order, because with the Eclipso run, The Darkness Within, it has a ton of annuals throughout the DC universe that is like connected with it. So like you have Adventures of Superman annual, you have the Flash annual. So I'm getting all of those, and when I get them all, that's when I'm gonna go through it and be like, okay, this is the reading order, this is how I'm gonna read it. So that's one thing that I do want to collect, but I also want to read when I get the full collection.
So let me ask you this, because I'm a little bit OCD, right? Like I have a little bit of OCD, and I have decided, because I'm a big Star Wars nerd, and I don't talk about that a lot on here because I mainly do the comic book stuff, and everybody knows I like Superman. I'm probably as big a Star Wars nerd as I am anything, and so I've decided that I want to read all the graphic novels, but I have to read them in chronological order. Like I have to start with like the oldest thing in the timeline, and then read through that. So actually, one of the books I actually have it sitting here beside me. This is the first one. Star Wars, what was that? Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. That's like the furthest thing back in the timeline. That's the one I just started reading. And when you read, do you have to read it like when you're doing do you have to lay them out like that and read it in chronological order?
Yeah, I have to read it in chronological order. Like that's why I haven't really started with the Eclipso run, because like there is a comic book that I need to start first prior to that, and that's it's actually just a random issue of Starman issue 42. So I have to start with that and then go with the actual order of it, because it's telling a story, right? And I don't want to, just like a TV show, I'm not going to start on episode 4 when there's like 3 other episodes prior to that. I can't do it.
Well, at least I'm glad to know I'm not the only one. Like, Misery Loves Company. I was scared to death, like I was crazy, and I was like, all right, because I have to do it in chronological order. Like me and my girls watched the Marvel movies, but we watched them in chronological order. Like we watched them all, but we did it in chronological order. So not in the order that they came out, in the order of the timeline, which was interesting. So anyway, all right. So I could go on for days about that nonsense. All right. So question 2, like what brought you to YouTube? So you've gotten into comic books. Were you doing YouTube prior to getting into the comic books, or did that, getting into comic books kind of spawn the YouTube channel?
I think watching these YouTubers and stuff, because like I was watching like comic book related YouTube for like a good year before I even got into it. And I think it was more of like I wanted to be more involved. I wanted to get more to know these people. And I'm glad I did, because like I was able to like meet half these people I was watching. I was able to talk with Bueller numerous times. I was able to talk with Comics Will Break Your Heart, Jennifer, get to know them and that. So I'm glad that I put my foot in the door and be like, you know what, I want to do YouTube comic book. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to like dive in and just hope for the best. And I'm glad I did.
I still have no idea what I said. I still have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just winging it.
Yeah, same here. And so now it's just, I've done a few random things on YouTube, but I think chatting with the comic community is like by far my favorite thing. And the thing that like, I may throw out like an unboxing video here and there, but like chatting with the comic community will just continue to go, because like I could talk with numerous people in this comic community, 60 plus episodes in, and I've talked with some amazing people, and some people I'm eventually going to meet, like Neighbor to the North that lives near me, Actual Dracula, Newbie Comics, where I'm eventually going to meet these guys in Canada, so I can't wait. And whenever I first got into the comic community, like having a Canadian was like, it was never heard of. And then like now there's Canadians everywhere. So I'm so blessed to be in this.
That's awesome. So what prompted the start though? You just wanted to be more involved in the community. Is that what prompted you to start the YouTube channel? You're just like, dude, I want to be involved in this. I want to get to know some of these people. I want to do this. Is that why you started the channel?
Yeah, that's exactly why I started the channel. It was more to get involved with people in this community, talk about what we love. Because now, like, I've been in random video chats and stuff, and like just talking with people. Like I know me and Evil's Comics, before he had to dip out for a while, we'd sit there and we'd have like watch parties of movies, and like we just go in StreamYard and just watch stuff together. And having that ability to like have a friend that's like not even in this same area as you, and you guys are just watching the show and talking about it. We don't have to do a show about it, and that we could just talk about it afterwards. We did that a couple of times, and we did that with Moon Knight. We'd watch Moon Knight together.
That's awesome. That's really cool, and that's one of my favorite things too about. And I don't get to hang out a lot in these, like these hangouts and things like that. It just, my schedule does not allow it, which I'm going to try to do something coming up with the Comic Book Mafia, like on Sundays, where we kind of hang out and just kind of do a membership chat, just so I can give all this stuff away that I've been putting back. Because where I took some time off, it took me a minute to kind of get myself caught back up and get back into it. So, and that's the part for me that I miss. I enjoy 10 questions, and let's just go ahead and get into question 3, because it was about chatting with the comic, community, because it's very similar to what I do with 10 questions. It's different, but it's the same concept, right? So the way you do your show and the way that I do mine are different. But 10 questions is my favorite thing to do. Like, of all the stuff that I do, I love to do 10 questions. And it's because I get to sit down with people like you, and get to know you. Like, I've watched you on YouTube. I've seen you on some of the, the hangouts. I've watched your content, and to actually now get to sit down and talk to you and get to know you a little bit better, that is my favorite thing to do. Is that for you? Is that the same thing with chatting with the comic book community? Is that the same reason that you love to do it?
Yeah, I love talking with and you get to find out more about what they love. Because you get to know somebody further past the comics, and that, because everybody, what it brings us all together is the comics, but we also have different passions that we absolutely love, like with Roscoe with his cartoons, and that's something him and I have in common. And then there's other people in this community, like me and like Stefan Missing Link. Him and I like our TV shows, and we talk about TV shows quite a bit. Same with Phil, Comics Talk Weekly. Him and I talk about TV shows quite a bit. And it's not even comic related TV shows. It could be like Severance, the Netflix show, and then what was that one? It was on it was on Netflix. It was something 81. I forget. They canceled it way too fast, but that was a fantastic show that we talked about. And it's just, you get to find out more about people in that aspect, what drives them, what brought them into the nerddom, and further than that, get to know them on a personal level.
Cool. Yeah, no, and that is my favorite part, man. I mean, it really is. And, like I said, where I don't get to do the hangouts like I would like to, 10 questions is my way to do that, and the way to get to know other people in the community. And it's really cool. You talk to these people online just like we are right now, and we will eventually meet sometime. I'm sure we will end up at a con at the same time, and we'll get to meet, and then we will already pretty much know each other, right? We just pick right up, because that was the thing when we all went to C2E2, is I talked to all these people on 10 questions or, all these different things. And then we meet in person, And it's like we've known each other for 2 years because we picked up, and it was just like we've known each other forever, and we had a ball. And because I really enjoy how you do. I was watching Bleecker Street the other day, and that guy's incredibly interesting and is like my hero because he likes the exact same things that I do. He-Man, G.I. Joe, and I was sitting there listening to that, and I was like, dude, I love this guy. I'm going to have him on 10 questions. Like, I want to talk about this stuff. So, yeah, no, what other content, so that people that are watching this that want to go over and find your channel, like what other content do you do?
I started doing like back issue haul videos because I've been finding a lot of comic books that I want to pick up, add to my collection. So I've been doing that. Just random unboxing videos. I just did an unboxing of something I won off of Nah Man the Draw Man. And it was just two beautiful art pieces. I don't have them near me right now, but it was like a Harley Quinn art piece and the Mandalorian art piece with the Mandalorian and baby Yoda or Grogu, however you want to say his name. And it was signed by Ryan Agawawa. I sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but it was signed by him. He was the artist, and he's a fantastic artist that did that. So definitely check that out if you want to go check it out. But mostly every Wednesday is chatting with the comic community, and that'll be the one that will surpass any video that I've been doing, and that it'll be the longest running series.
Cool. And don't ever worry about how you pronounce somebody's name on here, because I am the worst. I mean, like the worst. Like, I started doing this video because I've gotten into the trades and the omnibuses and all that, where I'm doing something similar to what Bueller does. I just do it with the trades and the omnibuses that are coming out on New Comic Book Day. And I started doing the manga, and I know nothing about manga at all, but it is impossible for this hillbilly to pronounce those names. Like, it's a joke. Like, it's just, people should watch it just to watch me do that. So, all right, now I want to get into this, and the next several questions kind of have to do with, some current events, some stuff that we saw, at San Diego Comic-Con. And just as a collector and somebody that's fairly new into it, I thought it would be interesting to talk to you about. So the first thing, one of the things that I really saw a lot of discussion about was the FOMO with Whatnot and these con exclusives, right? Like, I was seeing, crazy prices. I saw somebody paid something stupid for a Comic Tom exclusive. I saw Two Brothers made a post that, hey, everybody chill out on the FOMO. You'll be able to find these books for half price down the road. Like, what's your thought on that? Like, the FOMO and these comic book communities or these Comic Cons, and how it affects the community as a whole.
I think FOMO is kind of I think people should calm down, just like Two Brothers said. Like, FOMO is kind of it ruins it ruins it for me, to be honest, like, because it ruins the fun, because this is all about having fun, talking about what we love, not like, oh, you should buy this. Like, no, collect what you want. Like, I collect a lot of weird stuff. I know a lot of other people collect weird stuff, and that don't collect what the market tells you that you should collect. I know, like, you do first appearances and that, but I'm not a huge speculator. I'm more of like a collector / reader, and I just collect what I want and stuff. So I don't usually go by like, oh, you should pick this up while it's hot and stuff, and that this is what's going to move it and stuff. Well, it's probably going to go down in like another month or so, so I'll just pick it up then. And I didn't really want it in my collection to begin with, so I'm not going to go out and buy it just because the market tells me I should. So I think people should just continue to just enjoy what they're reading, enjoy what they're picking up. And if that does fancy you and you want to do the whole FOMO and pick up all of these key issues and stuff, then go ahead. That's your prerogative. Like, do what you want to do in this community, and nobody's going to tell you what to do.
So what do you think it is that drives FOMO? Like, what is it about us as human beings that, FOMO, fear of missing out, right? But what is it about us? Because I am much like you, okay? Like, I'm not paying some crazy price for something. And I learned that. I mean, I'm not going to lie, though. When I first got into it, I had FOMO. Like, I was like, oh, God, I got to get this book. But then that quickly changed to like, wait a minute, I could got I paid $100 for this book and now it's 20, and I figured that out. But what do you think it is about our human nature that drives us that fear of missing out?
I think it's just like anything, like trying to have all the coolest items and that, like even with like clothing and that, like people obsess over clothing and obsess over shoes and stuff. They try to get the next big thing in that. And I think that's what it is. It's in our nature to have the next coolest thing and make sure that we all got it, because then we got the keys to the paradise where we're like, oh, we got it. We're in, we're cool. But then that soon fades away. Cause I know, like I was like, oh, I got to pick that up too. I got to pick that up. Oh, that's going to sell out quick. I got to pick that up before it goes. And then I'm realizing that, oh, I could have got it at like $2 later on, like a couple months down the road. And that clued into me pretty fast. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to calm down, just buy what I want and stuff. So
cool. Let me ask you this. This really doesn't have anything to do with comic books, but you being from Canada, the United States is, I would have to say, a materialistic country, right? Like exactly what you said. Everybody's got to keep up with the Joneses, right? You got to have what your neighbor has, or say you've got it so you can be in the cool club. Is Canadian culture like that as well? Are they similar in that way?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I know a lot of people. I'm not too sure so much of what. I was never big into like picking up the next big clothing and stuff, so I don't know what's trending right now. But I know a lot of people, they're like, I need this trending. I need this certain shoe. I need this certain item to be with the rest of the pack. So
right.
That does happen in Canada as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it was different. I mean, we're basically, one country anyway. I mean, as far as we're right together. So I just wondered if if the cultures were similar in that way. So that moves me to question 5. And the first person I asked this to was Picking and Punching. And I asked him because he does spec on stuff. He's doing picking. He sells. He's a reseller. But I want to ask you as more of a pure collector, that you collect what you like, and that is the comic speculator versus the comic collector. Like you'll have a lot of people in the community that hate comic speculators, right? They hate the spec market. They're happy to see that things are kind of coming down, and I get that, because now maybe things will be more affordable for the true collector. But as a true collector yourself, what's your thoughts on like the speculation market?
It goes up and down in that. It's not too bad. Like I know a lot of people, they spec on certain books and then to flip to get what they want in their collection, which I can respect that. A lot of that's funding your collection, because like there is a lot of big key books. I'm kind of glad the speculating market's going down. I know it's not going to really affect the book that I'm after, which is like House of Secrets 61, which is the first appearance of Eclipse. So that'll always stay there at a high price. And just to speculate on what's coming out in the Marvel movies and stuff, I don't think people should be doing that, because like people were speculating on the Illuminati, and then you've seen how that ended up and how it went back down as soon as they're gone out. So you never know when to spec on a book. So I'm not sure how to answer that question, but
well, no, just I mean, as far as, does it bother you that there were people, like during COVID especially, you had people jumping into the comic book market that weren't really comic collectors. They were legitimately there to buy a book and then try to resell it for a higher price. Like they were pushing prices up. As a collector, did that bother you?
a little bit, yeah. Because like you read, I want wholesome people in this community, like wholesome people that are into the comic collecting, not people that are just here to just sell, and that they're not true collectors in my eye.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah. So, because I feel the same way you do. Something that you said is, look, because I do it myself from time to time. If I find a good deal on a book that I know I can sell and make some money on and help me buy a key or a book that I really want for my PC, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. But I'm also not out trying to drive the price is up. So let me ask it this way. Do you think there are people in the community that try to manipulate the market, that, are saying, hey, they'll try to drive a book because maybe they have some for sale, and they'll try to drive the price of a book up? Do you think that happens?
I think that happens a lot more than we think, and I don't agree with it at all. And I kind of wish that those people would just kind of stop doing what they're doing, and that they're kind of ruining the comic collecting community, in my opinion.
Interesting. Yeah, no, and I think it definitely goes on way more than we think too. Like, I think it happens a lot more than we really know. That there are people that are trying to drive prices up, and you have to. And I think if you are an influencer, which that's your job, right? You're an influencer. Your job is to influence. But especially in this, where you've got people that are hardcore collectors, they don't care about resale. They'll never sell a book. One, their kids will get them and they can sell them, as far as they're concerned. Like, I think that's where I think the disdain for the speculation market comes. Do you think the speculation market, though, helps drive the interest of the hobby? Because I think in some senses it does. It sparks the interest.
Yeah, it does spark interest in some people. I know a lot of people got into it because they were like, oh, that could be a hot book and stuff. And then they got in by speculating on a hot book and ended up just enjoying the hobby at that. So sometimes it's a good thing about speculating, but the ones that are just here purely to raise a book price and just sell it and don't care about the stories or the collecting purposes and just look at this as a job, and that, like, even comic book retailers that work at comic book stores, the managers and that, they actually have a passion for what they're doing, and they've actually read most of the books that they push. So those people are not so bad, but it's just the people that are here just to make a quick buck and get out and just raise these prices just for the sake of making a buck. Those are the people that I don't like.
Gotcha. No, and a great answer. And just it was interesting to hear it from, the person who does resell, their point of view. And I thought he made some great points. And I think you've made some great points as a true collector. So I appreciate you answering that question. All right, so let's go to question 6. And one of the big things out of San Diego Comic-Con was Marvel announcing like Phase 5 and Phase 6. And I was interested to know if there's anything that came out that like you are stoked for. Like, you're like, oh yeah, I cannot wait till that comes out. Like, anything that you saw that really excited you.
Really excited me. I'd have to say Daredevil.
Yes.
Especially with 18 episodes. Like, okay, with the Marvel TV shows, we've gotten WandaVision, which was 9 episodes. We've got What If, which was 9 episodes. And then She-Hulk, which will be 9 episodes. The rest have been 6. So to have an announcement that there will be an 18-episode Marvel TV show, and not only that, Charlie Cox playing Daredevil again, and most of the cast coming back.
Oh, dude, that was the one for me too. Like, because I freaking love that Netflix show. Like, season 3 is, for me, one of the best seasons of a comic book related TV show that has ever been made. And he never even dressed up like Daredevil. Like, and it was so freaking good. I mean, like, I love that. Yeah, I was pumped to see that for sure.
And then you got him showing up at the end of the She-Hulk trailer as well. So we'll get him faster than we think. I absolutely thought Black Panther, for a trailer that had like only one person speaking, like at one, Angela Bassett, that was it, for like an entire trailer. Marvel's put out the best trailer in a long time.
Yes.
And it was just a fantastic. I was in tears during that. I love the absolute music in the background. Love the transition between the music when Shuri and Ironheart clap hands. You see the transition from the music, and I just thought it was just amazing up until the last bit where it's like Wakanda forever. And yeah, it was just fantastic.
No, so I'm going to run through a couple of these that are coming up, and I just, kind of rate your excitement for me. and I'll do the same because I haven't got to talk to anybody about this, and you're on 10 questions today, so you have to do this with me. So we already said Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I think I'm really excited for that too, based off that trailer, killed it, right? Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. What do you digging that one?
I'm excited for that one because that's going to be kicking off Phase 5,
Right.
and that's going to come out soon, and that's bringing us the very first Kang, if you really want to say. We did kind of get him in Loki, but this I seen a little bit of the footage and that for it, and like seeing how he comes in and he's just like, "Oh, you're an Avenger? Have I killed you before?" And just to bring, yeah, it's just exciting to know that he's going to be like the big bad throughout the next 2 phases.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome too. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
I'm excited for that one too because we get to know more about Rocket, because James Gunn has stated that this is going to be like a Rocket Raccoon origin story, and it's pretty much ending this Guardians of the Galaxy too. So like we've only got a little bit from him, but I think we're getting more of what's going to happen with Nebula. I think we're going to get a little bit more of a Nebula story and a Mantis stories at that. So just kind of in the background, which apparently the actresses who play them say that they bond throughout this movie. You see them bond. So Mantis and Nebula. So I'm excited to see that as well.
Yeah, no, I think I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the soundtracks to both those movies. Like that's one of my favorite things. I love those movies. All right, the Marvels.
The Marvels, I'm excited to see where they go because I loved Miss Marvel. That took me by surprise. And I think it took a lot of people by surprise. So I'm excited to see what happened with that. I'm curious to go further into Kamala Khan as well, because they said mutation at the end of that, but I still think she's kind of an inhuman, and the bracelets are like Kree tech. That's what transported them, and it's I think what happened at the end of Miss Marvel was she got transported into the negative zone.
Oh, so okay, yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, all right, that's cool.
I'm excited to see where that goes from there.
Blade,
oh man, you can't. That's going to be an exciting thing. I'm glad that they finally announced that because this has been teasing for a while that he was going to be doing it, and I loved that actor when he played Cottonmouth on Luke Cage. He's just so he kind of looks like the original Blade too. So I'm excited for that. That was probably the best 2 Marvel movies back in the 90s. That I can't wait to get Blade.
Awesome. Captain America: New World Order.
Strange name.
Yeah.
NWO, but we'll go with it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm not sure. They didn't announce who the big bad will be, did they?
No, they didn't, or I didn't see that they did. And I'm interested to see it too, because, and that almost has like a political tinge to it, because you'll hear like conspiracy theories or things about this new world order, right? Like the Great Reset. And it has to do with this new world order that they're trying to create. So I'm kind of interested to see where that one goes myself. Because, Captain America, Winter Soldier was kind of based around something like that, right? And so, because I love that one. That's one of my favorite Marvel movies of all time. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens there. What about the Thunderbolts?
Thunderbolts, I think a lot of people have seen this coming from a long time ago, that the Thunderbolts was coming. I know me and a friend of mine were talking. We were like, yeah, the Thunderbolts have to come. Like, especially after watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. You're like, okay, yeah, they have to be coming. That's the group that she must be doing up with Baron Zemo and what was his name? The second Captain America.
Sam Wilson? Oh, no. Or you're talking about the guy. What is his name?
Yeah, I forget his name.
What's his name? John Walker?
John Walker. That's it. Yeah. So I think he's going to be part of the Thunderbolts, and who knows who else will be part of the Thunderbolts, but I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. No, I like that too. And then Phase 6 kind of starts Fantastic Four. As far as the movies, I don't know about you, but I'm pumped. I love The Thing. And I like the Fantastic Four as a group anyway. And I really want to see what Marvel can do with the Fantastic Four.
I got worried, not gonna lie, at first, because Fantastic Four was supposed to end Phase 4,
mm-hmm.
and then they announced Phase 5, and I was like, okay, well, I know Fantastic Four is probably not going to end Phase 4 now because of John Watts stepping out from directing it. So I was like, okay, it'll be in Phase 5, and then they showed it, and it wasn't in Phase 5. And I was like, are they not doing Fantastic Four anymore? And then they came out with Phase 6. I was like, oh, okay, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then they end Phase 6 with two Avengers movies, two Avenger-Styles movie, The Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, which is going to be that, again, just building up to like the Endgame and Affinity. What was it called? Endgame and, Jesus, I can't think right now. The two last Avengers movies.
Yeah, it was Infinity War and Endgame.
Thank you, jeez. But no, that makes me excited too. Especially the Kang Dynasty. I love that. And then Avengers: Secret Wars. So yeah, are you pumped about those two?
Oh yeah, and the way that Kevin Feige says, like, we want to he doesn't say the sandbox. He says like the toy box. So yeah. I think it's a way to bring in more and more stuff into this world, because I think they're going to have Battle World. And that's going to be Secret Wars, but it's instead of Doctor Doom bringing them all to there, it's going to be Kang. It's going to be the last Kang standing, because it's Kang Dynasty, right? So there's going to be a lot more Kangs throughout the multiverse. And I think the Kang that we get introduced to in Ant-Man isn't the one that's going to, we're not going to see him past this Ant-Man movie. I think they're going to stop him in this one, but then there's going to be another Kang that comes.
Nice. I love that. All right, and let's just quickly kind of go through your excitement level for the TV shows. So next up, we just finished up with Miss Marvel, which we're going to talk about that here in just a second, because I've been wanting to talk with somebody about Miss Marvel. And so, again, you're on Team Questions, so you have to do it. But so next up is She-Hulk. Excitement level for that one?
I am super excited. I've been excited since the beginning of this. Even before the second trailer that they showed. I just love the actress. The actress, she played in Orphan Black, and she's Canadian, so it's a win for me right there. I know a lot of people are saying the CGI is bad, but come on, guys, it's just a TV show, and that it takes a lot of money to do CGI, so they did it pretty well. But it looks like it's going to be a good dramatic comedy. I laughed so much during that trailer. So
yeah, no, absolutely. What about What If Season 2?
I'm excited for that as well. And I enjoyed the first season. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy aspects of it, but I'm cool to see. What?
I didn't like the first season. I didn't care for it. There were a couple individual episodes that I liked, but as far as as a whole, I just didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I agree. There's episodes that I didn't really enjoy that much, but overall I did enjoy it. I love the art for it and stuff. So we'll see where that goes in season 2, what kind of story they do, and if they're going to do the whole story like they did in season 1, where it's kind of all connected.
Right. Cool. Then you got the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. That'll be fine. Secret Invasion. I am looking forward to Secret Invasion. What about you?
Oh yeah, I'm excited because now you don't know who's going to be who, so it's going to be a mystery prior to even watching it, because you're like, okay, is that a real person? It's probably going to be that water cooler talk. The next day, people are going to watch it and be like, okay, do you think that person's real, or did you think this person's real? And a lot of people are going to be questioning that. Of course, we know Maria Hill is not real, or she might be. And it's cool to see Samuel L. Jackson coming back as Nick Fury.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm excited about that too. What about Echo?
Echo should be really good. I am hoping. I heard a rumor that there's going to be a potential that Jessica Jones might show up in Echo. Cool. So with Kristen Ritter, so I really like that show. So I'm hoping that character comes back as well in Echo, and of course we get Kingpin and Daredevil in that as well.
Absolutely. All right, Loki Season 2. I think I love Loki. I enjoyed Season 1. I know I'm pumped for Season 2. Same with you.
Oh yeah, Loki was out of all of the TV shows, I think Loki was my number one show.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Loki as well. I liked it a lot. Then we've got Ironheart, which I am looking forward to. Riri Williams. I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be cool. What about you?
I don't know a lot about the character, but any Marvel TV show, I'm always pumped to get introduced to a character, and we're gonna get introduced to her really early in the Black Panther movie.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then Daredevil, we already talked about. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. I think that's awesome. And then Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Although I like that character in WandaVision, that's probably my least anticipated show, like of all of them. But I'll watch it, of course. But maybe it'll surprise me like Miss Marvel did.
Yeah, I'm excited for this just for the fact of who's playing Agatha. And I love her energy in it, and kind of want to get to know the character. By the name of the title, it sounds like we're going to go back to like when she was like in the coven and that. So I think we're going to like see her in this world, and then it's just going to like veer into like close up of her face and into her mind, and that's where we're going to see. Cool. That's my prediction for it, but I'm excited to see that. I love the actress who plays her.
Cool. Well, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that because that was fun. I enjoyed your take on all those. So yeah, like I said, you're the person I talked to, and I've been wanting to ask people kind of what the reaction was, and really that's the one thing that Marvel does really well, man, is they set up these phases beautifully, and the way they all tie their shows together. I wish, because DC is my love, I wish DC could get it together in that way. Because there was the rumor that Henry Cavill was going to show up and that Superman was going to be back in this. That didn't happen. I was insanely disappointed about that. Your fellow Canadian, Chris the Comic Vet, made a great post about that. Superman drives DC. He's got to be a part of this thing. I'm stoked about Black Adam. I think that's going to be awesome. But I love Hawkman. Like, I am a massive Hawkman fan, so I'm excited for that as well. The DC stuff, anything you heard that really excited you on that side of it?
I think the most exciting news was all of the animated movies that we'll be getting.
Because that's what DC does really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, DC does the animated stuff really well.
And I'm excited for, I'd have to say, the Legion of Superheroes animated movie, because I don't think they get enough limelight. And they're a great team. Like, they had a little bit of a limelight in the Supergirl TV show, but that was only a fraction of the team.
Right. No, absolutely. So cool. All right. Now, question 7, which has kind of become a staple of 10 questions, is explain this IG post. So I go through your Instagram account and I find a post that I want to know what this is and what this means. So here it is. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. So explain this Instagram post.
Oh, because like I work in a store and that, and I was just like, I'm a fan of Clerks and Kevin Smith and that, and I just thought I'd take a picture one day, and it was just like, I'm not even supposed to be here today because it was my day off and I was actually working. So I was like, this will be kind of a funny post to make in that because it's kind of accurate.
Absolutely. So Clerks, big Kevin Smith fan, big Clerks fan.
Yeah, and got the Clerks hat on right here.
Yeah, I see that. Cool. Now, that's this movie. I have watched Clerks, but it's been a long, long time since I've seen it. And I know a lot of people love that movie.
Yeah, and it was, speaking of like the Comic-Con and that, at Hall H, they were talking about Clerks 3.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, cool. All right, question 8. And again, as I said earlier, this is one that you're here and I want to talk about it with somebody because I just finished watching Miss Marvel. Okay. And I was all right. So the first episode comes, and I just full disclosure, I have never read a Miss Marvel comic book. Not one. All right. Not the first one. Know very little about the character. Started watching the show and I thought, this is all right. I was seeing reports. It was the least watched show of any Disney Plus show. So I took a couple of weeks off. And then one night, I think it was about episode 3, I sat down and watched episode 3. And then I watched the rest of them. And it blew me away how much I really liked that show. And for me, Travis, it was about the family aspect, the Muslim aspect, like all of it. It was so good. And then like the end, how they tied it all together, how she came up with the name Miss Marvel. That's what her name means. Her mom makes her the costume. Like, I don't know. Like by the end of it, like I was like a little weepy eyed and, like had chills. And like, I mean, it blew me away so much so that I went and bought that the first series with Kamala Khan. It's volume 3. Went and bought it in a trade, and I'm going to start reading it. Like, what was your reaction to that show?
Well, the first couple of episodes, like I even though like she was a teenage girl, like you could relate to her. You could be like, the fandom is there. Like we can all relate to that. She's like watching random YouTube channels and that, like Easter egg videos and stuff, and going to like a hero con type of thing. So it's like we can relate to this character, even though she's female, and that we can all relate to her in the fanboy or fan person type of way. And then it added on to that family aspect. It added in this religious aspect that we haven't had in the MCU either. So we're getting more involved in the world now instead of just these characters. We're getting like, as far as much so as like we went back in time and seeing what troubles they had, like the Pakistani had at this certain time period, and that, so we can relate with them, so we can see that. And I don't think Marvel has really done that until this phase. This phase of the MCU has been more of like spiritual. It's been more of like getting into like the background of like certain characters. Even in the Eternals, they showed a lot of like the different aspects, different spiritual, religious aspects of the MCU that they haven't before. So like it was really cool to see that. And yeah, family together, like the family all came together, and that like they're probably the first family that really knew about this. But she is like really the first teenage person in the MCU prior to Spider-Man. So it's really cool to see that aspect of it. And it was a tear-jerking type of thing. The thing that ruined it was like everybody like, oh, she's a Celeste or clandestine, and that we're going to go out and buy all these comics now and stuff. So there's a whole speculating market again. But other than that, it was just, I didn't read Miss Marvel either. So changing her from Inhuman to a mutant, it didn't bother me at all. Also, since that was brought up, that little music when it was like it's a mutation, music. Yeah, I was like, oh, it's like they had to add that too. They had to add it.
Oh no, and they did that too. I think it was in Doctor Strange when Charles Xavier came out. They played that music as well. But no, yeah, and you're like, oh snap! When you hear that at the end, you're like, okay. No, it was just, it's the first one of those shows that I guess I started to watch, and I didn't have some, I guess I did have some preconceived idea of whether or not I would like it. And I kind of feel bad about that because I was like, I'm not going to do it. She's a teenager. She's a Muslim. I'm not necessarily into that. And I was just blown away. Like when I got done watching it, like I immediately the next morning told my daughters, because they watch those shows too. We really liked Hawkeye. Me and my girls loved Hawkeye. And we loved it. But Miss Marvel might be my favorite show, dude. I mean, like, I'm not even joking. Like, I loved it that much. It just kind of blew me away. And I just, yeah. So no, yeah, I'm glad somebody else thought the same thing. Do you know, I haven't read, like, what did the overall thought about the show end up being when it was all said and done? Because I know early people were like, I asked Elise what show, but at the end of the day, like I said, I loved it.
I keep hearing good things about it, but I haven't heard anything about like where people stand with it now. Because like I think people should have like given it a chance, but I think people saying it was like the lowest rated, and that I think that deterred people from actually going to watch it. So hopefully people actually, the word of mouth about how good it was got people to be like, okay, I'm going to go give it a try. So hopefully that happened.
Yeah, no, it was a character I knew absolutely zero about. I knew that she was in in Marvel. I knew she was a fairly new character. And because that's kind of hard to believe, just 2014 when she was introduced. And culturally, it really changed a lot. It's one of those things that comic books do well, is getting, kind of the pulse of the I wouldn't say pop culture, but progressiveness, kind of pushing things forward in a way. I don't always like that in my comic books because it's more of an escape for me than it is anything. But I think it's one of those. That's one of those titles where it was well done and I think important.
I love the fact that she was like a fan of the
absolutely.
character prior to that, and now she gets to like it pulls on your heartstring there, just like knowing that she was a huge fan and now she gets to portray that character. So that just brings an extra oomph, and I'm excited to see where she goes in the MCU now.
Yeah, me too. That's made me really pumped for the Marvels, because she's going to be there, and then of course Captain Marvel and all that. So I'm excited for that. All right, so we were kind of talking about this. So question 9 is this: if TM Nerdy could be any superhero, who would it be and why?
I'd have to say Shadowhawk, because that was the character that I got introduced to in the first, like in the comic related, like, because I got cartoons always introduced me to Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, all the X-Men, but Shadowhawk was the first in-comic character that I got introduced to. And if you go back and read the story, you don't get to know who Shadowhawk is for like 4 issues. It's like a big mystery because it is who is Shadowhawk, and you get to try to figure that out as you go. And as you're reading it, you're actually like reading the dialogue like you are the man in the mask. So I think that would be really cool to be Shadowhawk. I maybe change things up, might not like be that much of an anti-hero going around and crippling people to make sure that they don't commit a crime again. I'd probably maybe take it a little easier on them, but I think Shadowhawk would be the one.
Cool. Great answer. Love it. All right. Last question. Question 10. What other hobbies do you have outside of comics? Like, what else do you like to do?
I am a big TV watcher. I absolutely love watching TV. Earlier on, I loved to play baseball. Baseball was my game of choice, like throughout junior high and high school and that. I don't play enough nowadays, but like if you ever come to Summerside, there's like a middle of town, there's 3 ballparks, and that's where we'd always play in that. I keep telling myself I want to join like a men's league, just get together with a bunch of guys and just play, but never usually do that. Besides that, I like going to the beach. We're really close to the beach, and like going for walks on the boardwalk.
Cool. So from the baseball standpoint, like when you were playing in school, were you good enough to like maybe have a chance to play college or anything like that? Or is it just, you just love to play?
I just love to play. Never really looked at it and that. Other than that, just playing. And sometimes like I was part of the basketball league in junior high as well. Never played in high school, but I like playing in junior high. So
cool. All right.
But never wanted to go pro or anything like that.
Like TV show wise, like what do you like TV show wise outside of comic book stuff? Like I was trying to think of something I love Game of Thrones. All my stuff seems to be kind of related, around, the hobby or, something that could be collectible. Do you have any shows that you love that are kind of outside of this?
Yeah, I watch a show. It's called Evil, and it's different type of show. Like when you first start it, it's about like a psychiatrist and then a priest, and that they come in. The psychiatrist is there to say like, okay, is this person insane? And then priest is like, okay, is this person possessed? And the only comic related that it has Mike Coulter playing the priest who played Luke Cage.
Yeah.
And then I forget his name, but he was in Lost and he was in Person of Interest. He plays like a devil type character in this. And he just plays it perfectly well. And it's just an out there TV show. And it makes you question like, okay, is this person just insane or is it actually they possessed? And it's a really good show. I think it's on Paramount Plus. And I just absolutely love that show. Other shows, like I keep going back and watching like Community. I love Community as a TV show.
Yeah.
I'm still hoping for the movie because was 6 seasons and a movie, and they had 6 seasons, so I'm now waiting for the movie.
Awesome, dude. Well, look, that's been 10 questions. That was a lot of fun. I'm glad we got you on here finally. Glad you're healthy. Glad that we got, because I've really enjoyed this one. And let me just say this first. You know, if you're watching this and you want to go follow Travis T and Nerdy, I'm going to link all his stuff down in the description below. But I'm going to ask my dude, because one night it's late and I come across a live stream, and I want to say that it was on Freaky Louie's channel. And my dudes are all dancing and having a good time. So, Travis, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor and dance us out of 10 questions. Can you do that for me? Oh, I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been 10 questions.